Welcome. This is the Four Battle Boys podcast. I'm your host, Monterey Fabian Vic. Some of my guys will be with me in just a moment. And on this podcast, we're going to do some draft review. Of course, we're going to talk about some awards for sports this year. This Mike's category. He's going to run that topic. And of course, whatever we might find to talk about, we veer off the different subjects. And of course, our parting shots. But of course, this is the part of the show. I say let's go. This part shows, so let's go. And this is the Four Battle Boys podcast. Of course, we are on Sundays and Wednesdays at 9:05 p.m. The 5-minute grace periods for the black folks. If you're crazy and you have some straws, get your crazy straw. That's Ryan Anderson's sponsor. Just for men, if you have some gray in your beard and you're trying to get rid of it, just go ahead and buy some Just for Men. Get it from Walgreens, CVS, wherever you want to get it from. We'll get you right. Bring in Junkyard Dog.
Let me tell you something, baby.
There we go. Let me get through the sponsors first, dog. Dax Waving Groom. Need some waves in your head? Go get you some of that. Get it from Dollar General, Walgreens. Arizona Tea, Damon sponsor, 99 cents. Since 1991, you get diabetes in 99 seconds.
Wow.
So if you want diabetes, go ahead and get you some Arizona Tea. Or you can just treat it like, apple juice. Cut it with some water. I don't know if that'll help.
That's it. 99 seconds.
We can try it. Follow on YouTube and Facebook for Battle Boys Podcast, buy9shirt.com. You go on homecoming, trying to get your stuff ready. Bernard Ingram, Fort Valley alumnus, Kappa Alpha Psi member. They're going to get you right with your paraphernalia for homecoming. Starting this fall, they are going to have some stuff for Alabama A&M. They're going to have some stuff for Alabama A&M. So get your stuff for your alumnus from there. They have everything for Fort Valley, the FAMU. Albany State ain't got nothing for you, so don't even worry about it.
They ain't Albany State.
Damon Randall's podcast, Chopping It Up. Fresh episode dropped today. You can check it out on Spotify and wherever all podcasts can be made. And of course, our final sponsor, being Coke, Crown Royal XO, and Ginger Ale, the Docticals. We got Shot and we got Junkyard Dog with us. Guys, what's the business?
Wrong ratio. Wrong with you.
I'm just saying, man. Why you come on here eating? What is that? Pasta?
Yeah, that's healthy, ain't it?
Carbs, wheat, sugar. No.
What you mean?
What's going on, Fade?
Same thing, different day, man. Same thing.
Hell, then, fucker.
I can't do this today. Shot was on here Sunday. We talked about some draft recap. Mike, I want you to I'm with Damien. I want you to give your recap of the draft and some things you saw in rookie year, that type of stuff. Go ahead.
Typically, man, South Florida is known for football, but South Florida had, I think, 4 dudes go in the lottery. Taylor Hendricks, the Thompson twins, and Jet Howard. And man, that was quite impressive to me, man, because like I say, typically that is a football area. So that was one of the things that stood out to me. The other leagues, the other alternatives to get to the NBA stood out. You had guys getting drafted in the top 10 from overseas, the Overtime Elite League, the Ignite League. You got a lot of different avenues to get to get to the NBA now. And most of those guys probably they went in the top 10. I mean, they was out throughout the whole draft. But out of the lottery picks, I think you had over half of them that didn't even play college ball. So that's just showing you the times we living in when it comes to college basketball. And then the last thing that was kind of out there for me, you had a lot of guys that were maybe projected. You had a lot of guys that maybe were projected to be first round picks or even projected to be drafted. But the thing that kind of threw me off, you had all Americans that didn't even get drafted. Drew Timey, Sanogo from UConn, Oscar Sheepway from Kentucky, Tre'Quavion Smith, NC State, Adam Flagler. I don't think he got drafted. He's a national champion from Baylor. You had a lot of guys that didn't get drafted. That just shows you the difference of the game in the NBA versus 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Sheepway and Timmy, whatever from Gonzaga probably would have been lottery picks. Those guys probably would have been NBA lottery picks. But you don't even get drafted. So, I mean, that was unreal to me, man. That was a big step. And I think Houston and Detroit made some big strides with the picks they got throughout the draft.
Yeah, Oscar Sheepway not getting picked, but I think his knee injury he had at the beginning of the year was the issue. He can't pass out a double team to save his life throughout the whole season. And what's wrong, Shot?
Who's at choir rehearsal?
Who's that choir rehearsal?
Somebody at choir rehearsal.
I don't know. I don't hear nothing.
Michael.
That ain't me. That ain't even my phone. Don't call my name, boy. Shit.
Somebody at choir rehearsal.
I hear it too.
That's Fave. He just don't want to tell us. It's cool. Did he leave?
I was telling you to recap us of what you said on Sunday. That's what I was telling you. You didn't hear me, probably.
Who, me?
Yeah, you. Recap what you had said on Sunday with me and Ryan.
Where's everybody else?
Solo Shot.
Oh, okay. Recap what the draft?
Yeah.
I talked about what Atwater said as far as the 4 guys that went in the lottery. I don't even know if that's ever happened before, where you had 4 people from pretty much the same area. Like every last one of those guys are within a 10-mile area of each other. I did a basketball game a couple of years ago, I guess about 3-4 years ago. It was University School in Fort Lauderdale versus a school in Kansas. And on that team was Vernon Carey, Scotty Barnes, Taylor Hendricks, and Jet Howard. So that might be, when it's all said and done, if you start talking about results, that might easily be probably the best high school basketball team talent-wise ever assembled. And the point guard on that team actually plays for Nova Southeastern which is the product of university school, and they just won the D2 national championship. So, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Jet Howard and Taylor Hendricks were ninth graders, but they both played a little bit in that game, which is crazy to think about it now.
Yeah, everything you guys said is spot on. And one person, I think I brought him up Sunday. Mike, you probably didn't catch this one. Cam Whitmore from Villanova. Projected to go at top 8.
Yeah, they said he had some knee concerns or something.
Knee concerns didn't work out well. Dropped all the way to the Houston Rockets. And the Rockets have a lot of talent. They need the right that's going to show them how to play and not how to play basketball, not play in Vegas.
Right.
So we already know who I'm talking about. We're playing in Vegas.
Something that I noticed with some of the teams, especially the younger team, they loaded up on wings. Like, let me give you an example. Orlando, they drafted Anthony Black. Well, at guard, you already got Jalen Suggs. You already got Cole Anthony. You got Markelle Fultz. Mm-hmm. So teams are loading up on guards on wings now. That's what they loading up. Houston, they drafted Cam Whitmore. You just drafted Amen Thompson. You got Jalen Green. You got Kevin Porter. So you got a lot of players that play the same roles. That's what you have going on. And I mean, I can see in another 4 or 5 years possibly, and maybe even sooner that Houston and Detroit gonna start turning the corner. Because you look at Detroit starting lineup now, even though they're young, Jay Nivey, Cade Cunningham, they got Jalen Duran, James Wiseman is over there now, Marvin Bagley. You just drafted one of the Thompson boys. They're gonna be all right, man.
Well, I know why they're doing that. What is the greatest? What is the second? Well, yeah. What is the greatest basketball miss in the history of draft? Anybody tell me? Or what y'all?
What the greatest what?
What is the greatest basketball oversight in the history of draft?
Talking about shooting? Lack of shooting?
No,
he's talking drafting.
Draft picks.
Sam Bowie?
Exactly. Why did they draft Sam Bowie?
He was 7 foot. And they already had Clyde Drexler.
Because they had Clyde Drexler. They already had their wingman. People ain't making that mistake no more. Like, you only getting 1 or 2 years. Like, we gonna draft the best player available. That's one thing that basketball does that football doesn't necessarily do. And I know it's a lot of different positions in football, so it's a little bit harder. But basketball normally draft the best player available. The teams that don't do that tend to mess up. There was another team that decided they wanted to draft because they thought they had a decent wing guy, and that was the Seattle Supersonics. No, not the Seattle Supersonics. Who was the team that drafted
Greg Oden?
Again, then they drafted Greg Oden.
Number one. Got him number one.
Portland, boy, y'all just got bad luck with top picks. Yeah, they drafted Greg Oden and let that other guy fall to number 3.
Number 2.
Kevin Durant went 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good job, Portland. Way to fuck that up again.
Don't forget about Darko Milicic. Don't forget about him. Detroit.
True.
And they had a chance to get Carmelo. But to see, Detroit didn't get Carmelo because they just come off that. They had that championship team. They had Tayshaun Prince.
No, that won the championship team. Spurs won the championship that year to draft when LeBron got drafted.
And Detroit wanted that next year. That next year, right?
Right, they won 04.
Yeah, I think they would have won nowhere for Carmelo to play.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't think about Detroit because they actually still won without that. I mean, hell, Joe Dumars should have been crucified for busting up that draft for not picking the right guy. He went all the way overseas to get Milicic when he could have had any one of Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, or Chris Bosh. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul was in that draft too, wasn't he?
2005.
No,
2005.
2 years later.
Yeah, that's the year the Hawks drafted Marvin Williams.
Seems like to me, man, if I'm drafting right now, I would be drafting trying to build myself to beat the Nuggets with Joker. I'm trying to get bigger. That's just me. I'm gonna try to draft some bigs, even if it's just for depth purposes. Man, we gotta get this. We gotta get this thing situated down there, boy. With them.
That's how the Lakers beat them in the bubble. They had 3 centers. They had 3 7-footers on their roster. You started 2 of them at the time with Anthony and JaVale McGee. Both of those guys started. Then you brought Dwight Howard off the bench. You could interchange Howard with McGee or McGee with Davis or whatnot. That's how you beat Joker. You get those different bodies at him. But now I think he's on another level where that might not even matter now.
That's what I was about to say. I don't
Miami would have had a couple of bigs. That might would have been a different series. It mattered.
I think Miami had some shooters. I think that would have made more of a difference than some bigs.
They had shooters. You got 3 or 4 of them out there. You had Struss, Robinson. You had shooters.
Oh, my bad. Consistent shooters. My bad.
They were just off that series.
I agree with Fabe. I don't think drafting a big man is the answer to beating Denver. There's not a big man in the draft. Yeah, there's not a big man in the last 2-3 drafts that has the girth to battle with Jokic in the paint. You getting a rookie, only thing you're gonna do is get that rookie feelings hurt.
Mm-hmm. Like
me, I'm gonna go get the lone guys that can switch on defense on the perimeter, and I can go find me some big 30-year-olds and use 18 fouls.
Do y'all see? I know we talking about the draft. We better get to something else. Any teams in the last 15, somebody was talking about this. I saw it on social media. Any teams in the last 15, 20 years that's done won the championship, you think the Nuggets can beat any of them teams? Any of them Warrior teams and the LeBron Heat teams, the Bucks a couple of years back? Where would you stack them up against some of these teams over these last 15, 20 years? Let's just go back from 2009. You had the Lakers 3-peats. The Celtics don't want one. Can the Nuggets beat any of them teams?
The 2007 Spurs. Maybe
with Duncan, Ginobili.
I said maybe. And believe it or not, that was the weaker team. That 2017 was the weaker Spurs championship team.
Duncan, Ginobili, Park and them?
That was a weaker team. Or I could go back to 99 to those Spurs. But they had size though. Maybe the Celtics of 08. Maybe. But I don't see them beating nobody in that decade. They couldn't even beat the Pistons. They wouldn't score 80 against the Pistons.
Man, Joker would have worked Ben Wallace ass. Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace. Man, they damn near would have swept the Pistons. Joker would have worked that. He would have worked Ben. Ben Wallace is another Bam Adebayo. You just can't score. Man, he'd have worked Ben Wallace.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing we said with the Lakers. The Pistons let Shaq score 40, and they stopped everybody else.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I already told you. I feel like, and this is not a knock on Joker. I feel like 15 years ago he's Greg Ostertag. So to answer that,
that's rough there, boy.
I've been saying it for like 4-5 weeks now. He's Greg Ostertag. He can pass the basketball, but honestly, and again, I'm no disrespect to the man, but it's really only he's the last of a dying breed. There's him, Giannis. It's really him and Embiid, and I would say Brook Lopez. It's really those three: him, Embiid, and Brook Lopez. Everybody else is that they don't have the size and the girth to match any of those three guys on the floor. Now they're more skilled than the big man of old, but I honestly feel like this guy wouldn't even be a top 10 center going against the centers of old.
I don't know. I can't agree with you on that one. Now. You talking about Greg Ostertag? I would say a little bit more athletic. Bill Laimbeer. I would go there.
Bill Laimbeer was athletic.
I know that's what I'm comparing him to a little bit. Bill Laimbeer just wasn't no post guy like Joker, and Bill Laimbeer could handle it a little bit and shoot the three. But Greg Ostertag, did he ever average over 10 points a game? Probably not.
So when you watch Joker, especially against the Heat and the Lakers, it normally takes him about 7-8 dribbles before he actually scores. He's literally just backing you down. And because the game is the way it is with 3-point shooters, people don't want to come in and commit, and he's backing down a smaller guy. Size-wise, aside from his passing skills, who is he going to score on? Remember, when I called him the most skilled big man ever played the game, I didn't say he was a prolific scorer. He's scoring against smaller people. So my thing is, who would he score against regularly back in that day? Certainly not Shaq, certainly not Akeem, certainly not Pat, certainly not David. Like, name me a all-star center that he would score against. He wouldn't score against Brad Daugherty.
Well, if you saying that, then him being the most skilled big man, you say all time?
I said
we might need to reconsider that.
He's the most skilled center to play the game. Yes.
So if he's the most skilled center to ever play the game, how is it that he couldn't handle his own against them 3-4 guys you just mentioned?
Because his ball handling, bringing the ball up the court, his passing is elite now. Now, a hater could say what they want, and I'm a hater because he beat my team. But his passing is elite. Like that guy, he got bounce passes. He create angles with his passes. He passed like a point guard, like really. But who is he backing down the way y'all watch the games, right? He backs you down with multiple dribbles all the way from the elbow, just backing you down. Who would he do that against regularly back in that era?
I can see him still getting his own against some guys back in the era. But the difference with those guys versus now, see, those guys back then, Joker would have 20 and 10. Them guys gonna have 20 and 10 too. Like, it's gonna be tough for him to guard Hakeem and David Robinson hitting that little 15-footer and Patrick Ewing. But he gonna give it to them too.
Where he couldn't guard Bam Adebayo. Adebayo was quicker than him. Like, remember now, he's not athletic. He does not move.
I mean, you're talking about he can't guard Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo's 6'8", 6'9". You got a 7'1", 7'2" dude guarding a 6'8", 6'9" dude. Adebayo really ain't no center. That's a power forward, technically.
He's 6'11".
Who, Adebayo?
No, Joker. He's 6'11", 284 from what they say.
I thought the Joker was 7 foot, 7'1".
He's 6'11". To Shot's point, Greg Ostertag, 4.6 points a game, 5.5 rebounds.
Yeah, that was disrespectful as hell there. Very disrespectful.
Greg Ostertag was 7'3" and 285, 300 pounds. He's Greg Ostertag. I'm sorry.
That's rough though.
We got D. Ronald just popped in there. D. Ronald, what it do?
Fresh from the barber shop.
What's going on, fellas?
You got it.
I caught the tail end of y'all conversation. What was the actual question?
We were talking about Joker or what teams could beat Denver. And, I kind of revisited my comment from before when I called him Greg Ostertag.
Oh, okay. Got you. I was listening to what you were saying, and the Joker really, offensively, yes, but all those centers you named were two-way players. So I can't necessarily say he will actually score at a rate against those guys, because then he probably wouldn't be able to bag a lot of them down. He can't bully Shaq. He can't out-quick Akeem or David Robinson. He can't outmaneuver Patrick Ewing. These guys was like all defensive players, MVPs like him. So, he would get some numbers. I ain't going to say how they did Kevin Love. They inflated. I wouldn't say that. I would say he's able to get 20-10 like y'all said, but it wouldn't be these astronomical numbers against the centers back then, because those centers played defense and they were exceptional at it.
Let me throw out a couple of names. Could he score the way he scores now, again, the way he scores, he's basically backing smaller people down. Could he score against Yao Ming?
No.
I don't think so.
Could he score against Alonzo Mourning?
No.
I think he could.
Shaq?
Could he score against Dikembe Mutombo?
No.
Could he score against Dwight Howard?
No, because he showed that in the bubble. He struggled against Howard in the bubble.
You talking about the centers you brought up, man. You talking about very good defensive players that can score. We really can't actually say that Joker is a defensive player. They would, like you said, he had problems against Adebayo. Now you talking about some really good centers back then that were very skilled themselves, and a few of them could pull him out and shoot it. I mean, they wasn't shooting threes, but they can pull him out 15 to 17 foot shot, triple threat, pull him out the post. So it would be. I'm not saying he wouldn't score. Let me say that. I just don't know he would put up the numbers he would put up against those guys.
Yeah, when I say score, I'm not talking about shut him down. I'm talking about like this guy's averaging 40, 38, and 40 points in the playoffs. You know, I mean, I'm not taking nothing away from his passing ability. You know, I'm talking about can he score? I mean, okay, so Edward, let me ask you this. How do you feel like Joker scores in a regular game during the season? How does he get his buckets?
I think Joker gets a lot of buckets off of just simply cutting. I think he gets a lot of wide open threes. I think most of his points come. I think would necessarily possibly come out some. It could be pick and rolls, but like backing somebody down to the goal. I can see him getting, 6-8 points doing that and getting to the free throw line. Like if we're gonna call this man the most skillful center of all time, we're gonna say that this is one of the top 10 centers of all time. Then basically we're saying all the guys that we're naming, he can hold his own. So
I never called him a top 10 center of all time.
I don't see how he's not one of the top 10 centers of all time. He's a world champion. He's a finals MVP. He's a 2-time NBA MVP. How could he not be one of the top 10 centers to ever play? He's ahead of Dikembe Mutombo. He's ahead of possibly a Dwight Howard, Alonzo Mourning. Joker is one of the top 10 centers of all time. He is in the class with Hakeem, David Robinson, Ewing, Shaq, and it ain't no particular order. But as of right now today, June 29th, 2023, Nikolai Jokic is one of the top 10 centers to ever play basketball. And he has the hardware and the stats and everything to back that up. How can you dispute that?
I mean, you're right. He is an MVP now. I mean, that
two of them, 2 times.
Yeah, that puts you in different company. I can't debate that now.
2-time NBA MVP and a Finals MVP, and you a champion. It's gonna be really tough not having him in that top 10.
So Kareem, Shaq, Patrick, Bill Russell. That's 4. Olajuwon. That's
David
5.
Robinson, Patrick Ewing.
I say Ewing.
I would say Moses Malone is in the top 10. That's just me.
Yeah, 4. Okay.
You would be right to say Moses.
Yeah, I think Moses will be in the top 10.
Bill Walton, Robert Parrish.
I'll put Bill Walton. Not Parrish.
I think he might be a notch above Brad Daugherty.
Who, the Joker?
Yeah.
Brad Daugherty was a bad boy. They just couldn't get
He
past the
was.
ball.
Yeah. That's
When
not
he was healthy, you right, Faye.
That's 8 right there if you include Bill Walton. I guess Alonzo Mourning, if you really had to put Alonzo Mourning in there.
You got to think about Willie Reed.
Moses Malone.
Bob Lanier.
You can make an argument. I mean, everybody got their own list, but I would think everybody would consider the Joker a top 10, maybe borderline. If we really sat down and looked at, because y'all name Willis Reed, you name Moses, Bob Lanier, you name some guys that you would have to look at. But I mean, according to what Mike rolled off, man, hardware, championships, MVPs, it's difficult not to say that he in that top 10.
So let me clarify what I'm saying. I'm not saying, like you said, accolades and hardware. He's decorated. He's definitely one of the top 10 most decorated centers in the game. What I'm saying is, if I brought Joker back into the future, his style of play, and put that up against the centers of then, I don't think he's better than Brad Daugherty. Now, again, this is all just me speculating. We're not talking about numbers. I'm saying you bring him back in time, the way he scores, who are you taking him over what centers? Yes, now as far as passing skills, absolutely. But if I'm one-on-one, do you have him beating those guys one-on-one? Not that I want to see two centers play one-on-one.
Half of the guys I think he could beat.
Okay.
You saying the eye test shot? You saying the eye test, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the eye test. Not the way the game is played. Not the way the game is played, because that's not fair to him nor them.
Right.
But he's a traditional. Joker is a traditional back to the basket center. In a modern game, he's the last of a dying breed. Him and Embiid and Brook, not even Brook Lopez, but yeah, them three are literally the only people that mirror each other. And Embiid give him 40 every time.
And see that right there kind of bolsters your argument, Mike. Think about it. Who do we compare as far as back to the basket footwork? Joel Embiid too, Olajuwon.
Yeah, you remind me of Olajuwon.
So if you think about it, he has Olajuwon. To me, has the mid-range game that Embiid probably is not. It's okay, but Olajuwon was that dog. But with his back to the basket footwork, and then you factor in him playing defense.
We didn't name Wilt Russell. I mean to cut you off on Damon. Wilt Chamberlain. Excuse me, Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, Wilt Russell. He'll combine two people.
That guy is definitely unstoppable.
Stop right there. But we didn't say Wilt Chamberlain. So
yeah,
that put Joker at 11, maybe 10.
I don't. Again, Wilt might have been 6'11", but he was about 250 pounds. Shit, that's Bam Adebayo. I think he would destroy Wilt.
I don't know, Shot. I don't know. I think athleticism will make it a little closer, man.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying that they're gonna stop each other. I'm saying that this guy's out here averaging 30 points, but there's really he has no peers in the game. Like, who are the best centers in the West? Anthony Davis, 6'11", 7 feet, 260, 250?
250. Wilt was 7'1", 275.
Yeah, okay, my fault. I apologize. Sometimes I forget just how big of a giant Wilt Chamberlain was. So that's my fault.
You get it in on and off the court.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, the fade always taking shots, man. Oh my goodness, dog.
He said in his book, how did that taking a shot?
Good gracious, man. Continue, Rachel.
It wouldn't be a show of Fade than taking shots, man. Let him have his shots.
How's that a shot when he said it in his book?
Who else in the NBA starting centers who else in the NBA matches up with Joker?
Besides Embiid?
Huh?
Besides Embiid, nobody.
Embiid, Lopez. What about Cat?
Yeah, you're right. My fault.
Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert. Go see how many points he get against Utah. No, I thought he was in Minnesota. What did he do against Minnesota this year?
He bust their head wide open. I'm gonna get you
those
stats.
I think he
I think he started against a little bit against Rudy Gobert.
I'm gonna give it to you now.
To see that. That's a great Rudy Gobert. I forgot all about him. My goodness.
26, 12, and 9. That's what he gave them.
One game?
The average through the whole series.
Okay.
All right, what you got next, Fade? What we got? We got the awards.
We got the awards. Yeah, this on you, Mike. You go ahead.
I don't have it pulled up. You got to pull it up. I don't have it. So you got to run them off so we can.
All right, I'm pulling them up now. See.
I got one I'm really interested in to see what Rachel gonna say. I can't wait to.
All right, so this Mike's topic since we're in the doldrums of the summer, only sports really going on right now is pickleball and baseball. And football starts at about 60 something days. We're gonna do our version of the ESPYs. It's the Fort Valleys. The Fort Valleys.
The ESPYs or the Negro Pleases.
That second one you said. That second one you said. That second one.
Okay.
That second one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rattle off awards and the nominees, and we're gonna say who we think should win. And the first award, Mike, we're gonna go ahead and give the MVP. The nominees are Stetson Bennett, Jalen Hurts, Nikola Jokic, Bryce Young, Jimmy Butler, and Aaron Judge. Who's the MVP for this past year in sports? I'm gonna start with Mike, then Shot, then Damon.
Ooh, man, come back to me, man.
Who are the choices again?
Jimmy Butler, Aaron Judge, Bryce
and I
Young,
added Pat Mahomes too. By the way, I did come back and add Pat Mahomes.
Jokic, Jalen Hurts, Stetson Bennett, and Patrick.
I gotta go with Jokic. I mean, I'm not gonna pick anybody that's not a champion if we talking about the player of the year or whatever.
And Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it's either him or Patrick Mahomes, but I'm assuming from what I understand, Jokic come from humble beginnings in Serbia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and plus I remember I watched the movie Behind Enemy Lines when the plane fell down, and I saw the way them people was walking around in the snow barefoot. So if he come from anywhere on that side of town, then I'm gonna give him credit for overcoming, you know, a whole lot of adversity. You know, I hear they eat gunpowder over there.
Damn.
Mike, before Damon go, Mike, you forgot one athlete that should be on here also. If we're doing inclusiveness and inclusivity, Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces.
I didn't think about WNBA. I'm going with either Stetson Bennett or Patrick Mahomes, and I may go with Patrick Mahomes for the fact that he didn't really. You had Travis Kelce, but you don't really have a lot of targets out there, and you done got them back to the Super Bowl. You lost Tyreek Hill. You really don't have a definite running game. I'm going to either Patrick Mahomes or Stetson Bennett because Stetson Bennett went back to back, and I don't think there's nobody else on that list even went back to back. So, but I will just lock it up at Patrick Mahomes.
What Chamberlain's on the list? He went back to back.
I'm gonna change mine, but go ahead, Faye. I'm gonna change mine.
All right, go ahead, Dame. Who's your MVP for sports for the past year?
I was thinking Stetson Bennett, but I was gonna go with the Joker. I was really thinking Stetson Bennett just because he went back to back. But if you look at the season this dude had, and then you factor in the playoffs and the finals, racked up the finals MVP. He led the playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. I was gonna go with the Joker.
Just for anybody want to know out there, he averaged 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists in the finals.
Who you changing your two shot?
Angel Reese.
Man, that dude got a right.
Yeah.
That's who I'm going with. From being down and out at Maryland to she will forever be remembered in LSU as much of a story franchise that is. If I'm not mistaken, they just won the College Baseball World Series again.
Yes, they did.
Okay. They won the NC College Football Championship 3-4 years ago with Broadway Joe. They produced hundreds of All-Americans, but she bought the Bayou Babes. She bought them out and won their first ever women's basketball championship. Then she went in the dressing room, did some push-ups, and put women college, not just women college basketball, but women college sports on her back. And let everybody know she black. And
Black
she
and
ain't
black.
changing.
The Bayou Barbie.
Salute.
Yeah, the Bayou Barbie.
Who you giving it to, Fate?
I'm probably going with Asia Wilson. Or matter of fact, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna go a little more step. This person to me gonna get 2 awards. Becky Hammond.
How's she the athlete of the year, dude?
It says MVP. It didn't say athlete of the year. What she did in her first year as a head coach, when she should have been a coach of the Portland Trailblazers, her first year in the WNBA. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you got it. What's the next award?
Game of the year. Georgia, Ohio State, the national semifinal. Vikings and Colts. Alabama and Tennessee. College basketball, San Diego State versus Florida Atlantic. And Game 6, Miami versus Boston. And we're just going to leave the Super Bowl off, I guess, too. So I guess because they made it live.
Man, I believe that Game 6 versus Boston and Miami. I think that man. That Georgia-Ohio State game, that Georgia-Ohio State game in the Peach Bowl. That's what I'm going with. That was a game, that man. No disrespect that Miami-Boston game, but that Georgia-Ohio State game, man, that was good. It was really good.
You can go to Damon and then the shot.
I'm definitely saying that Georgia-Ohio State game because it was a sight that nobody really expected to see how Ohio State came out and punched Georgia in the mouth and kept punching them in the mouth. Georgia took them punches and ended up beating them. That was a great game. That was a game, they thought C.J. Stroud was going to do at Ohio State to Michigan, put up numbers and do what he did. And he did it against a better defense. And him and Marvin Harrison made that game exciting because everybody figured Georgia was going to do their thing, but Ryan Day did some things in that game that I feel like he should have did in the Michigan game. They probably would have won it. That was a great game, man. I felt like the national title game right there.
Yeah, that was national championship. That national championship game was horrible.
Yep. And Marvin Harrison would have got hurt. It'd be a different story.
Right. It probably would be a different story.
Shot, who's your pick for game of the year?
You gonna say Game 6?
Did you have a Super Bowl in there?
No, he didn't. But I'll add it in the Super Bowl.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going. We had two. We had history in the making. We had 2 African American young men playing quarterback. So there was no losers. Everybody was winners. But the way those teams competed in the Super Bowl, 3-point game, the Super Bowl, the single greatest individual sports event in the world. I'm going with the Super Bowl, 38-35, Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going with the Super Bowl also. I could say LSU versus Iowa, the beat down that Angel Reese and company gave me. Best sports city: Philadelphia, Boston, Miami, Baton Rouge. Damon.
This year, Miami, hands down. There's no question. I don't even
Not
ask the
so
argument.
fast, my friend.
There's
And
no
my next
question.
thing,
Go ahead, Lee Corso.
the sports city of the year is Baton Rouge. It won 2 national titles this year. Miami got to the finals in the NHL and the NBA and didn't win either. Baton Rouge. Now, before we get into the demographics of somebody want to go to South Beach versus Baton Rouge, okay. But as far as sports city and teams that won, LSU won the college baseball and the women's NCAA championship. Sports city of the year.
All right, shot.
He's high. Valid points because they actually did win, so they had parades. But when you talk about sports cities for the entire year with teams, you know, the Dolphins made the playoffs, the Heat made the playoffs, the Panthers made the playoffs, and two teams in college basketball went, and not just the playoffs. Four teams in South Florida went to the pinnacle, the Final Four of their sport. 4 teams. True enough, they didn't win, but 4 teams. So and I had to tell y'all that LSU just won the college baseball World Series.
No, you didn't. I watched the game the other night. They won 18-4.
Oh yeah, they beat South Florida.
They beat Florida because Florida beat them the night before, like 25 or 20 to 4 or something like that.
Check the viewer ratings. Check the viewer ratings on Miami, FAU in the Final Four. Check the viewer ratings for the Heat and the Celtics, and then for the Panthers. Check that, and then get back to me on what's
and
going on.
Check the viewer ratings for the game the other night, and check the viewer ratings when they played Iowa in the national championship game.
Okay.
And so he ain't on. Okay.
And let me just throw another plug.
You gonna have Miami when you got a team that won 2 championships in the city,
right? But let me throw another plug. There was a 2-week stretch where Monday you went to the Heat, Tuesday you went to the Panthers, Wednesday you went to the Heat, Thursday you went to the Panthers. Watch parties in both arenas for 2 weeks straight. So if you was really about that life as a sports fan and had the money and the time to go do it for 2 weeks straight, you could have been nothing but sports down here. It was nothing but sports down here.
and I forgot University of Miami went to the Final Four.
I didn't.
That's what I said. 4 teams. The Hurricanes, the FAU, the Heat, and the Panthers.
And the
Okay, so Damon, break the tie right here between me and Ratio. Would you rather just listen to me real quick? Would you rather have 4 teams from your city make it to the ship and not win it, or would you rather have 2 teams from your city that win it? Which one you rather have?
I mean, anybody would want the 2 teams to win it. I can't lie about that. If you looking at the actual questions though, you saying the sports city of the year, albeit that Miami didn't win anything, they got to the Final Four of almost every major sport. So you looking at a city that was involved in a sport.
They got to 3 Final Fours? NCAA, hockey,
yeah. Right,
and NBA.
Right, and then Miami, the Dolphins, didn't they go to the playoffs? They ain't make it to the Final Four. They went to the playoffs.
No, they went to the playoffs. That was it.
Right. So so if you're looking from, let's say, December.
Well, who the 4th team then? Where we get 4 from?
That's why I said I was wrong. It wasn't 4 that went to the. It was 3.
Not as we count Florida Atlantic.
It was 4 teams. I said 4 teams. D-Ran made a mistake and said 4 different sports. I said 4 teams.
Yeah, that's my fault. So what I'm saying is you got 4 teams that involve the city of Miami, but you gotta that's huge. That's huge. So you would look at that part, Mike. You right. I mean, anybody would probably take the 2 teams to win a chip. But if you're looking at the spending money and partying and it being a sports town, it's hard not to say Miami, considering what happened in that city.
What you say, Faith?
At all.
I'm gonna say Miami.
Because if that's the case, Boston, the city of Boston, they got a case too. You had the number one team in hockey, and Boston Celtics they won the number one seed. Boston Celtics made it to the conference finals again. So they might hadn't had as many teams make it like Miami. So that means Boston got a shot at this too then. Philly got a shot. They played in the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Phillies, didn't they play in the World Series? Phillies made it to the World Series, didn't they?
We're not gonna give Boston a shot because both of those number one teams lost to the South Florida teams.
Yeah. And Mike, you forgot another city that won 2 championships. Vegas.
Oh yeah, hockey.
That's my pick right there. The Golden Knights won, and the Las Vegas Aces won, and it's in Vegas.
Who were the Las Vegas Aces?
WNBA.
They talking about WNBA.
They still
won. I wasn't thinking about WNBA, so that's why I didn't. I mean, no disrespect. I didn't think about WNBA.
Hey, but I just checked the ratings because Anatoly on
9.9 million viewers for LSU and Iowa.
Yeah, it was. I read 8 million, but yeah, so it was a lot of people watched that game.
You know why? They put it on network television, ABC versus ESPN. That's another reason why too. That's one of the main reasons why.
Now again, is that a staggering number? Because I don't know. Is that supposed to be a big number? That 8 million?
The title game drew an average of 9.9 viewers, which is 103% increase from 2022.
Right, but now compare that to say the Final Four.
The Final Four. Let me go to Did I pull those up? Miami. No, it's Miami. Pull those up. But
I guarantee you that was low. Miami UConn game. That was a blowout.
Wrong thing. I'm on 2 different computers. The series with the Nuggets and the Heat had an average 11.6 million viewers. It was 5.5% lower than the previous year. The Panthers and Golden Knights averaged 2.6 million viewers, which is down 43% from the year before. College baseball, they had 3.5 million viewers from that night. The Final Four, they had a 7.8 rating, 14.7 million viewers for that's the championship game. I'm trying to get to the UConn Miami viewers. Final Four. They averaged 12.885 viewers, which was 27% down from that same time slot last year.
They had 12 million viewers.
They averaged 12.85 million viewers, and their time slot was, I believe, 8:50. The 9:20 game because that other game went over. So basically, the primetime game, it was down 27% for the primetime game the year before.
It's hard because the traditionalists, if a traditional team, especially in hockey, if it ain't a
original six,
their numbers gonna always be terrible. So hockey, that's a sport it's hard to really talk about when it comes to numbers, because the true hockey fan, they really want to do is see any of the original six in the Stanley Cup, or a dominant player, an Ovechkin or somebody like that. So it's tough, really, with hockey. We all knew. I think college basketball kind of figured that number was going to drop, but I mean, Fave, you brought up a good one. I still say Miami because of who it was and the location of the city.
So we got 2 Miami, 1 LSU, 1 Vegas. Okay. Team of the year. Basically, all the teams that won. And then the Heat is on here also.
I got the heat on them, man, for what they accomplished, being an 8 seed. That was remarkable what they pulled off. Going to read the list.
All right, I'm gonna add in the Las Vegas Aces because they won the championship.
You must be the WNBA spokesman. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying if you put in team of the year, they won a championship. All these teams on here won a championship. So I'm just saying.
Go ahead, dog.
All right, Georgia Bulldogs. We know Mike Hugo might go pick. Kansas City Chiefs, Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets, Houston Astros, LSU women, UConn men, the LSU men's baseball team, Oklahoma's baseball softball team, and Las Vegas Aces.
You know who I'm going with, back-to-back champ.
Oklahoma.
I will go with the. I'm gonna go with the Bulldogs too, though.
Go with the dog, man. Back-to-back.
Oklahoma went going back.
Yeah, I got Georgia.
I'm gonna go with the Dogs.
I'm gonna go down Dogs.
I think the most impressive team though will probably be I Kansas City Chiefs, man, because just for some reason, man, I just didn't think they would do it again with not a lot of help at that wide receiver position. But what Georgia pulled off this year, I'm riding with them Dogs, man, as team of the year.
I think the most impressive team for me would have been Denver, the Denver Nuggets, because they pretty much blocked out the noise. Like everybody was talking about other people. He was overlooked for MVP. Jamal Murray never fully got, he never fully got the respect, quote unquote, that he deserved. And they just kept winning. And I think the Lakers series was a testament to that, because they beat the Lakers in game 1, and all everybody talked about was how the Lakers let the game slip away. And game 2 was gonna be different. Oh, okay, well, we'll beat y'all in game 2. Okay, well, the Lakers gonna go hold, all Denver did was hold serve. Okay, well, we'll beat them in this 3-0. If anybody
and they on top of them, they was up about 15 at the half in game 3 on the Nuggets.
Exactly. If anybody could come back, it's LeBron. Okay, get the broom. So,
but let's just be clear about the Nuggets too. Now, the Nuggets played 2 8 seeds, a 7 seed, and a 4 seed.
Man, don't nobody care about that.
They played who they played. They played their schedule.
Care about that.
I'm just telling you.
Okay, Georgia don't beat Alabama, and both their wide receivers don't get hurt.
Alabama win. Alabama win.
So, Detroit don't beat the Lakers if Magic hamstring don't flare up. Like, come on. The Lakers don't beat Detroit if Isaiah don't hurt his ankle.
Lakers will beat Detroit. Kobe had to break that girl in Colorado.
Oh, man. This crazy, man. God almighty.
You giving out some real low gut blows, man. We got to deduct the point.
Man. Hey, next award, man. Last award. I know we should have one award, man.
We got two left.
Talking about impressive teams. I know this team ain't on there, but I thought the Eagles was real impressive, considering that Hurts wasn't the traditional quarterback, yet he played MVP football. Very strong defense. They just went out and ran the ball down your throat and say, if you can stop it, stop it. If you can't, oh well. I actually thought they was real impressive too. Even though that team ain't win none, it ain't on the list, but they were very impressive this last season, man.
And you got go ahead, Faye.
I was gonna say if Hurts wouldn't have got hurt late in the year, I think they would have only loss they would have was that fluke loss against Washington. They would have had a legit chance of going 20-0. But that's all I'm gonna say.
Man, I know they didn't win it, man. And you got to shout out the Miami Heat, bro.
Oh
man, what they pulled off as an 8 seed, man.
And the talent on the team, it's almost like they played with walk-ons.
Yeah.
Like, bro, the Miami Heat, boy, I was really impressed with them, man. This is, to me, supposed to be a coaching job.
Me too. Can't lie.
All right. Coach of the year, Kirby Smart, Mike Malone, Eric Spoelstra, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Dusty Baker. I'm going to add 2 more on here. Becky Hammond and Kim Mulkey.
Kim Monkey.
Kim Monkey.
Milky.
Coach of the year.
I'm going Tim Malone.
Mike Malone.
Mike Malone. My fault. Yeah, Mike Malone.
I'm going either Andy Reid or Mike Malone.
I'm gonna go Mike Malone.
I'm gonna go Kim Mulkey.
Kim Monkey.
Or Becky Hammond. Matter of fact, no. I said what I said earlier. Becky Hammond. I'm going Becky Hammond. Especially only lost one game this year right now, too. So.
Yeah, the Ace is balling now.
And they got Kenny Park on their team this year too, so they're like the Heatles. They got a big three. All right, Shot, your coach of the year. The choices are Kirby Smart, Mike Malone, Eric Spoelstra, Andy Reid, Triani, Dusty Baker, Kim Mulkey, and
man, you ain't gotta say all them names. Eric Spoelstra. Come on.
All right.
Yeah, you can't argue with that one, man.
I just called the man the greatest coach of all time. So you don't think I'm going to pick him for coach of the year?
Yeah, I know. I just had to go through the formality.
Yeah, you should have just said Shot got Eric Spoelstra, moving on to the next.
All right. Last award right here. Most interesting story of the year. Deion Sanders, Jackson State, Draymond and Jordan Peele, Ja Morant, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, PGA Liv, Neil Long and Neil Long, I guess, still boyfriend, and DeMar Hamlin's heart attack during the game.
Man, I might go with that Draymond versus Jordan Poole, man. I don't know. That DeMar Hamlin was like, that's a good one. There. God, dog. I'm going Draymond and Jordan Poole. I think that story was the most interesting story. I think that kind of affected Golden State for the season. So I'm going that. But that DeMar Hamlin story, man, that was something else. That was
a different type of story.
Bro. Yeah, that was something else. But I'm going Draymond and Jordan Poole.
Damon,
I'm gonna go the Ja Morant one, man. That's a good one Mike brought up. That was the first thing that came to my mind. But if you think about it, Ja has some issues. He sat down. More issues.
He said more issues.
It's like, and that kind of you talking about ruined seasons, that made Memphis kind of fall off the map too. And then you got, what was Cuz's name? They ate up alive and they ain't even signed him no more. Dylan Brooks. He out there talking and he didn't talk his way out of a contract. So, and that all like was a Ja Morant attachment because he had to figure he had to do his thing. But I mean, flashing the gun. Then he said he was flashing a toy gun. It's so much stuff coming out. I wish this story would have came out sooner. Man, there's so much of this Zion stuff coming out, bro. That's interesting. That's interesting.
I just know Dylan Brooks and Moses and Noah have two things in common.
Oh Lord.
You want us to say what, right? And we're not.
Basically.
We're not gonna damn say what, okay? Because that's what you want. You wait for us to say, what, Fade? Ooh, we're waiting. No, we're not doing it. Next.
No, the hell with that. What?
Just like Moses, 40 days, 40 nights. Dylan Brooks had to get beat by 40 points and get cut by his team.
I hate both of these dudes on this show, man. I hate Mike and Shot because Shot the type, man, this dude what, Fade? He just go.
Hey, Shot, go ahead.
Oh man.
Man, first of all, Atwater, my brother, man, but like those are like 3-4 great topics. Like you really can't go wrong with either one of those. Like DeMar Hamlin, God bless him. If I'm not mistaken, he died on the field.
He died on the field twice.
Yeah.
You put that in context.
Yeah.
Only reason why I don't have DeMar Hamlin because I was out of pocket, and I'm not trying to like plug, but I was out of town, a little bit. But as a fantasy football guy, I'm out of town, and I'm looking at the screen, and I see the Bills on the screen, and then we hanging out, But I got Joe Burrow for my fantasy team, and this was a big money team.
Me too.
I think Tony had already beat me the week before, so I was already pissed. But I did beat Yo V, so shout out to that W. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just had to throw that back out there. Man, I don't mean to monopolize the story, but I'm looking at the screen and I'm noticing that like they still ain't played. Like they still ain't played. So I was kind of out of pocket with the whole DeMar Hamlin. Because he literally died, y'all said twice. But I'm gonna have to go with Draymond and Jordan Poole because that literally lasted the whole year. There was no closure until they just traded Jordan Poole. So whether we talked about it or not, from the moment he hit him, and then 2 weeks later or a week later, he signed the extension. So we said, oh, okay, well, Golden State had to pacify this boy because he could have been talking about retaliation. He could have been talking about a whole bunch of stuff. And they said, hey, get your money. We talked about what would you do? Remember, we had a nice little long segment. What would you do, if it was me? And, and they said, hey, here go your $100 million. And then, of course, Jordan Poole say, I'm good. But if you watch the season, he wasn't good. So it's like at some point I understand Draymond for touching him. Then I understand Jordan Poole for saying I'm not rocking with him. And then during the year, we could all empathize with Jordan Poole. Like, bro, like I said it's over, but don't come up to me trying to talk to me like we cool. Like we ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? It's over and done with. I got my money, but don't come rap to me on the court. Like I respect Jordan Poole so much for not being phony. He kept it a buck. Like we ain't cool. We gonna play basketball.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but we ain't rocking with each other. Draymond trying to like, yo, high five. He like, nah, bro, don't touch me. Like at the end of the day, you still put your hands on me, and it is what it is. So I'm gonna go with that. I ain't mean to take up, but that was like two great topics, especially with that Jordan Poole saga, because it just ended with him getting traded.
Yeah. Shot, I'm gonna echo everything you said, but the one thing story interesting. We don't talk about golf a lot unless Tiger playing, and this LIV and PGA beef over these last 2 years. Basically, you could pretty much say the Saudis own the PGA now. All of this because the PGA don't want to pay for players' flights or appearances or specific stuff. These players like Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau and Cam Smith, a lot of these players took advantage of getting paid millions of dollars guaranteed up front to go to a league that we don't know nothing about just to get financial security, which the PGA didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the PGA wanted to sue, and everybody wanted to stomp on Phil Mickelson. And now you know who comes out of this and smelling like roses? Every one of those PGA players that went to LIV that were getting $100 million guaranteed or $50 million guaranteed, and all that money guaranteed, and people like Rory McIlroy. Tiger was offered literally $600 million, but he didn't take it because he believed in the PGA. Look at people like Ricky Fowler, who just lost the U.S. Open a couple weeks ago. He's top of the league, wet the bed in the final round. Think of how those players feel right now. I had a chance to go to LIV, make their money. Ain't got shit, and then they get to come back, all because the PGA didn't want to open up their books in court, and they would have got mollywop, and they really couldn't sustain that stuff. So that means is interesting. That to me, that's interesting because there's basically $1 billion at stake for those players that left. And in the league.
I'm sitting here thinking about it, man. We might need to think that Caitlin Clark, that LSU Iowa game, that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, that might be the biggest story for the simple fact we watched the game. We watched women basketball strictly for them. Like that game was one of the first times that I've seen a female sporting event like is a headliner. Like, when the last time you seen a female sporting event, whether it was track, tennis, whatever it may be, that was a headliner like on ESPN or made you sit down and actually watch? I watched that whole game. I don't know if y'all done it or not.
I did.
But when you think about what Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark did, not just for the game of women basketball, but for women's sports, period, that might be the story of the year, man, so far. We actually turned into watching a women's sporting event. And honestly, I ain't watched nothing. I watched a little bit of the softball. I ain't watched nothing else with women since. But that Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese stuff, man, that might be the bigger story, man. That I just thought about it.
Let me give you some voicemail. I'll jump in right quick. To me, the way Caitlin Clark and Iowa treated and disrespected South Carolina, and the way LSU district came back and beat the brakes off of them. It's a hot take. This game, in a sense, remind me a little bit of a new age Texas Southern versus Kentucky in the championship game. Just on the black versus white. Because of the climate.
Yeah. Well, what you think about that, Shot?
Yeah, I was trying not to touch that, you know what I'm saying? Only because, I take enough stances. But yeah, I think that was the biggest. I think that was the biggest difference maker. Like when you go from one year to the next, what Caitlin Clark and LSU. But I think that's more of a story because it was 2 games in one. Like I think the hype of the game, because they beat South Carolina, turned that game into what it was. Yeah, but I don't have a problem with that, but I think that game would make headlines for the wrong reasons, if you ask me. I think it had a lot of paying attention to women college sports. But I know, as I said on one of my my final comment segments, I think that was also a game that brought a lot of people out the masses, because they thought the unthinkable was gonna happen, and they kind of came out in droves. So that viewership went up a whole lot, and I don't think it had a lot to do with people watching basketball. So that's why I stayed away from that.
One quick thing. I would go back to the Damar Hamlin thing. He had died twice, and I don't know if y'all caught it, but they interviewed a doctor, and they were saying how it happened is so rare that it doesn't happen. The way he was hit, how he hit, you seen the fade, that it was so rare how it happened, how it made his heart stop not once but twice. You'll probably never see nothing like that again for a long time. So that right there, not to mention you seeing grown men in tears, not knowing what's going on. I was in you said I had Joe Burrow and Higgins and my brother-in-law fantasy sports, and that was to take over first place for money. So when they suspended the game, it dropped me. So I was like, what happened? And
that was like week 17 or something, wasn't it?
That was the last game.
No, next to last game. Yep,
next to last. So
I was a fantasy Super Bowl for a lot of people.
Exactly. So when the doctor came on and explained it, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is crazy. You wouldn't see nothing like this again. And how it happened and the way it happened, the precise way he had to hit him and all that stuff, that's tough, man. That's a heck of a story. And he's back saying he want to go to mini camps and stuff like that. That's a heck of a bounce back.
And the crazy thing, still no guarantee he'll make the team this year. That's the crazy thing.
Right.
Still no guarantee.
Right.
Man, Mike did a good job on this topic. Good job.
Yeah, good job, man. Great job.
Sure did, Mike.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Party shots, Damon, hit it.
Hey, I seen that Susan Lurwins, whatever the woman name is, they decided not to charge her with murder. Matter of fact, they are, if I'm not mistaken, somebody correct me, I don't know if they're going to charge her at all. The DA came out and said, although it's very heinous what happened, they had insufficient evidence to say it was second degree murder. I think it was second degree murder, and they're not going to have any charges. And DA described it that in order to prove it, they needed a depraved mind. So you listening to a lawyer talk about it, and Shot can probably tell me better because it's Florida law. They actually was saying that the actual shooting is enough evidence for proof of a depraved mind. Not to mention things that was done or said previous to the act. It was known, and she even admitted that she called this woman kids the N-word. She called them slaves. She called them all types of stuff. She would chase them out the yard. She actually took the computer that the kids left in the yard. They knocked on the door to get it. She threw the computer out the window, out the door or something. Not to mention, to me, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a lawyer or none, to shoot through a locked door, to me, seems like that's an act of a depraved mind. But who am I? The law, to me, now they got to understand why we people of color hate the law. Because if the roles were reversed, and yes, I'm saying it, man, they'd have tossed that person up under the jail, probably would have beat them all the way to the precinct. We got to do something about this, man. That's crazy. The woman sat down and told her whole story and didn't lie about nothing she said. And they still not charging her now. They saying that she double jeopardy don't attach because she wasn't adjudicated. So another DA can come in and charge her. But I mean, come on, man. This is crazy. I don't understand why they couldn't charge her with manslaughter, anything. I'm not understanding that. This is the reason why people of color do not respect the law. Period.
Michael.
This past week in the city of Chicago, a couple of people, Miss Carlisa Hood and her son were waiting to get some food, and they ran to a Mr. Joseph Brown. An altercation ensued in the restaurant while they were waiting on food. Miss Hood was texting her son to come in. 14-year-old young man killed Mr. Joseph Brown. Mr. Joseph Brown hit his mom in the face like 2 times, like a grown man. First of all, my condolences goes out to Mr. Joseph Brown and his family. People were getting on Facebook and discussing they are happy that she was released, happy that her son charges or whatever were dropped. Got to also mention, y'all, somebody lost their life in this. I'm never condoning a man hitting a woman, never necessarily condoning violence, but somebody lost their life. So we don't need to be on Facebook and social media apps glorifying her getting out of jail, because at the end of the day, yes, he was wrong for hitting a woman. That son took up for his mom. But this young man has children, mother, father, brother, friends that are real sad right now because he was shot. Was he wrong? Like I said, yes. But let's not glorify her just getting out and not recognizing that Joseph Brown is dead today.
Before Shock, let me jump in. So, self-defense. I mean, if he's beating on a woman that he does not know off the rip, what does that tell you about his personality? He's abusive.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, man, this dude dead. We don't need to sit here. We got to. There's 2 sides of it. Yeah, he wrong. I stated that. He's wrong for hitting that woman. But at the same time, this man's people are suffering right now. His child, his brother, whoever, they suffering. The man dead. So we don't need to get on Facebook and glorify her getting charges dropped. I understand that. But we got somebody that's they gonna be burying their friend or son or daddy in a couple of days, man. That's something you got to realize.
Yeah, you know what would have kept him from being dead?
I understand that, Fred.
Not punching him.
I'm with you on that. I didn't condone that, but we don't need to just overlook the fact that this man is dead.
I see both sides. Not to take over, I do. It's tough to. I get it. He left his kids. He left his family. He left a lot of people behind. But dude, when you make a decision to do what you did, it's some type of repercussion that happened. Now maybe he shouldn't have died. Maybe things could have been handled different. But I gotta say, man, I'm with Fabe on this one, bro. Abusive guy. We don't know what type of man this is. I'm not wishing the man was dead. But when action always begets a reaction, bro. This is some things you got to think about when you out here trying to beat on somebody. Before you do that, remember you got kids, family, and all that care about you. You at the end of the day, you make that decision, bro. You right, Mike. I ain't saying glorified. I'm saying you got to look at both sides, man. I ain't glorified nothing.
Do y'all think that his family and friends right now are excited that ain't no charges coming?
Well, no, I don't think so. But you got to look at both sides, because a lot of people, if they'd have kept them charges on that 14-year-old boy and the mother, they would have been looking like, well, what you expect the son to do if he? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's always going to be a loser in this situation, no matter how you look at it. It's going to be a loser. I just can't say I got a whole lot of sympathy, because he showed a pattern in broad daylight that he a woman beater.
Well, I know if I'm 14 years old, that young dude, that's my homeboy. He busting off the goat. He ain't playing with you.
I just know it's certain things that and let's just be honest. That 14-year-old kid is gonna be messed up from this point on because he had to kill somebody. Mm-hmm. So it ain't like he getting over and he good unless he just not there in the mind. But he 14 years old, had to watch somebody beat his mama, and he had to retaliate in a way that he probably seen red. We really don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong, Mike. I actually do agree with you that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not. He was wrong for hitting that woman 100%. But we getting people get on Facebook, and like people been cracking jokes. Like somebody had a meme that said he went in there for a burger and he left with some wings. Come on, man. Come on.
He did. He did leave with some wings.
That's a good way of putting it. You got.
I mean, come on, Rachel.
No, he did. All flats, half spicy, half lemon pepper.
Oh, y'all boy rough, man.
Y'all bro. You're not wrong. I hear you. I honestly hear you. I just feel like, man, when you do something, some type of reaction is gonna happen. You don't know what is gonna happen. You don't know when. But you out there doing this type of stuff, and you got, especially nowadays, man, they'll pull a gun out on you and kill you in a heartbeat. They ain't playing no games. So it's like you got, at the end of the day, that decision that you make, you got to live with it.
Let me say the last thing. Let me say the last thing so we get shots on parting shot Black Thought in. Tick said no, her son killed him. That is correct, but his hands being placed on his mama helped him get them wings. That's all flat, half spicy, half lemon pepper. Go ahead, shot.
Oh man.
Man.
That's tough.
Oh boy.
Go ahead, shot your Black Thought.
So yeah, I'm my condolences to the man's family. As bad as I feel about that, I don't care what nobody say. Whoever came up with that, he went in there to order a burger and left with wings.
That was pretty cool. That was kind of.
You need a job. You need a job. The Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, you need a job for somebody. Like at the end of the day, we all older. Like there's consequences. Like you gotta think. Like what separates us, like I tell, and I know you all do too. I tell young people all the time, I'm like, we not soft. Old people not soft. We just got more to lose.
Right.
So at the end of the day, my condolences are, and I'll lead us at this, my condolences are to that man's family who may not know that side. To my condolences to his family. You know, but every time we go somewhere, every time we in a situation, we, the people on this panel, Tick, Tiny Head that's on there watching, Vet, everybody, you know, rational, you know, men with people that are dependent on us to do the right thing. We weigh all of our options every single day. And me arguing, you know, I can't remember the last time I've been somewhere and even argue with a woman. I think a woman is the greatest creation that God ever put on this earth. So you're going to get a yes, ma'am out of me before you get my fist balled up. Whatever the altercation is, if she's being rude or disrespectful, hey, ma'am, I apologize. We ain't even got to go there. You have a good day. I can't think of a situation where I'm going to just decide to ball my fist up and just start wailing on a female. Like, seriously, I'm not trying to do that with a female or a male, because at the end of the day, we got stuff to lose. There's people that's dependent on us to do the right thing and make the right decisions. And when you don't think about that, then you start, you know, opening the doors for other things to happen. Simple as that. You know, and I look at it like that. Matter of fact, you know, now that I just saw, you know, Tiny Head, my brother on here, me and him had a conversation, I think it was yesterday, and he was talking about a situation at work. And while he was saying that, he was mentioning, you know, a situation that got tense. And my thing was, you know, man, you know, like, you know, hey, you know, I'm glad we passed that. You know, and that was just me, you know, word from my brother, you know, because we don't need to be in those situations. Like, we're too old and too mature and got too much to lose to be in those situations. If there's an altercation and the other person is mad, it's on us. It's our responsibility as fathers to be like, you know what, man, you got that. Like, at the end of the day, I got too much to lose. You won, man. Hey, you skipped me. Yeah, my N-word, I was in line first. Man, go ahead. Go ahead, my brother. Ain't nothing that's more pressing that's gonna keep me, you know, from getting where I gotta go because you skipped me 2 minutes in the line. It ain't worth it.
What was they fussing about anyway?
Huh?
Nobody really knows.
I know.
Nobody knows.
Exactly.
Nobody
Okay.
knows. All they know, my bad shot. All they know is that the argument, they only played a clip of the argument, and he was saying, he get your food. You really couldn't tell what she was saying. And then he was like, oh, if you don't get your food on my grandma, I'm gonna knock you out. And he said, I'm gonna knock you out. And then he went to punching. And then you seen little man coming there and he shot cuz in the back.
Yeah, that's just so unfortunate for our people. As a people, that's unfortunate. I'll say that. But I'm gonna get to my black thought. I'm gonna stick to the theme of people dying.
Wow.
I just want y'all to know that Atwater did a great job as far as, you know, what he put up. And I feel like us as a group, we should take a trip. Now, this may look like some simple lip gloss to you, but if you expand your imagination, this could actually be a submarine. And
I'm out. I'm going. I'm going.
I actually have a drawing.
Oh, man.
I actually have a drawing of our submarine.
Oh, man.
Hold up, let me see. Let me cut the light off. Like, if you could see it, that's the controller right there. It's an Atari 2600 controller.
Oh,
I got 4 seats. Now I'm gonna warn y'all, it's only one floating jacket. That's mine because it's my machine. Right? I got to sit on the back. If y'all want to, we can go down in the ocean and we can go find King Solomon's mines or the treasures. We can go find that. Listen. Trust me, it's been done before. I know y'all skeptical, but believe me when I tell you, this is the motto, and I'm just gonna make it a little bit bigger. So
look how Fave looking at it, man. Look how Fave looking.
See, y'all see the propellers right here on the end, them propellers right there. So homecoming, we gonna take this out there by Willow Lake. We're gonna take this out there on Willow Lake, and we gonna go deep sea diving. Hey, listen, free of charge. If you with me, come on.
I'd rather go to Albany State. I'd
I
rather go
quit.
to Albany State and redo my whole undergrad program before I get in that boat.
I quit, bro. I tap out, man.
Listen,
All right.
y'all can say what you want. This is a hell of a drawing.
It's a hell of a drawing. Right. It is. It's a hell of a drawing. It is. I agree.
I tap out. Oh, my goodness.
Mike, choose between Craig Carton or KJM. Which one you want?
Sweet God Almighty.
Choose between who?
Man.
Craig Carton or KJM. Which one you want?
Woo.
KJM.
Okay, I'm gonna do Craig Carton. All right. So it's a show that y'all probably don't watch on FS1. Craig Carton, bald white guy, who's a complete jackass. I'm gonna talk about this privilege from the mountains of where, Damon?
Caucasus.
If you're from the upper northeast of America, Craig Carton, the name's familiar of New York radio, Shock Jock Radio. A few years ago, this young man was arrested and sentenced to 3 years in jail for wire fraud for selling tickets and stealing money, sports money from tickets like a Ponzi scheme. Of course, he did not serve the full 3 years. He served 1 and some change, got out of good behavior. So guess what FS1 wants to do a year ago? They want to hire him to do a radio show in the morning. Of course. So keep in mind now, he has a radio show in New York and he has the TV show on FS1. He still has to pay back the money from what he stole. And Tick just said it, ratings, baby. The ratings, he's only getting 58,000 viewers, average 58,000 viewers. That's the same amount of viewers of Speak at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's not good. That means both shows are doing terrible if they're doing 58,000 viewers. But that's not the dilemma. We're talking about a man from where, Damon?
The mountains of Caucasus.
That got a second chance on television and radio, double dipping in his salary from stealing from people. Oh, I'm sorry, Ted. My bad. I thought it was me. My bad. So when me and Dan were gonna get a shot, if we went to jail, will we get a second shot? And if all of us on this screen went to jail right now for creating that submarine that shot just Drew, and we get served our time, will we get another shot to do the 4 Valley Boys?
I'm not just try. I'm going to work on it right now.
This dude said y'all didn't catch it. He said Atari 2600 controller.
Yeah, I caught it.
Yeah.
I was done with him then. It was a wrap for me then when he said that, bro. Atari 2600. That's like the first video game system in the world.
When they go low, what you do, Damon?
You build a submarine and go lower.
I mean, you pulled it out talking about imagine this. That killed me right there.
Okay, we're gonna see y'all Sunday. This time we're gonna talk about Lad Dragon. We out.
Oh my God.
It's been real, y'all.